Thank you everyone for joining us for another episode of Al Heron Talks, the podcast. And of course, we're always, not always, but most of the time, we are privileged to have along with us Miss Bonita Love. And she is here on today co-hosting. And of course, our producer, Marcella Robles. And people always say, why you just say Marcella? Because, you know, she's got a lot of different last names and stuff, and so I don't.
Like, who is Marcella?
So I never know which one I'm supposed to go with. I want to be appropriate, but so Robles works. So we'll do that. That is our wonderful producer, engineer. She does everything actually. And so today, our special guest, and you know, you'll hear me talk about this a lot. I've been in the real estate industry for a very long time, since the 1900s, 1994, and so I've seen a lot of agents and all of that stuff, and I you know, just like you talk to an NBA player, NBA players have favorite basketball players. And so even as a real estate agent, you have favorite agents. And so, and I have several favorite agents, but Rachel Pratt is one of my favorite agents. So I will make that admission just because I've seen.
You're so sweet.
Well, you know, your story, what you've overcome to do this, and now you're doing it at such a high level, is worthy for anybody to look at you and see what you're doing and be like, hey, that's one of my favorites. Anybody who can have the determination, the grit, and the really just the. We'll talk about this in a little bit. I don't want to spoil it. I'm getting ahead of the story, but your determination and your outlook at real estate, the career of real estate, was kind of a no turning back situation where you had no choice but to be successful, as you've said before. So Rachel Pratt is our special guest, and so we will learn a lot about you here.
Probably too much.
Well,
more than people want to know.
Well, I think people, because what real estate is really a people business. So real estate agents get in the business thinking that they are here just selling houses, but what you're trying to do is convince somebody to use you to help them make that big purchase or make that big sale. So really what you're doing is selling yourself. It's the person. And so if they like the person's transparent, and they can relate to the person, that's who they want to work with. So I think that's been key to your success, because you're very transparent. You are always you. So we'll talk about
Take
that.
Take it or leave it.
So what I like to do is let people kind of know the personality by asking a few questions early on that don't necessarily have much to do with what we'll ultimately talk about. But for you, I went to see the John Wick movie the other day.
Oh my God!
I went at 10.
At night?
At night.
That's what I said. Did you stay awake the whole time? That's what I said.
So here's the deal. There was back in the day, I could do that. So if there were movies,
a long time ago. Well, I mean, not that.
Yeah, see. Okay. All right. This might be grand closing, grand opening, grand closing for this episode. Thank y'all for watching.
I was thinking you were my favorite.
Yeah. So yes, you're right. At age 51, you can't go to a movie at 10 o'clock, and one that's 2 hours and 49 minutes.
And John Wick, the fourth one. Right, that's what I said. It's not like it was one.
It's not like there was no.
What else can be done?
Correct. And so I know I fell asleep at least twice, and even woke up one time.
I was going to say you woke up.
I woke myself up. I think snoring. I woke myself up snoring. I was like, golly, this is crazy. And I'm looking at the screen, I'm like, John Wick hadn't killed everybody yet. He's still. And so I even left. I don't even know how it ended.
Oh my God!
And I think it was supposed to be a good movie. It got good reviews and stuff, but I can't tell you.
It's like what's the Fast and Furious?
I didn't know they had another one coming out. Those are I love Fast.
They have another one coming out.
You love Fast and Furious,
but it's like after a while.
I mean, but that's
What is this one?
For some people,
Fast and Furious episode 15,
probably like 10 or something, but. I don't know. I don't watch them.
And then it gets more ridiculous with the stunts and stuff. I'm like, all right.
Yes.
Yeah, because somebody
was believable.
It was believable. And which one? We had on one, because the little clips I've seen of it, they launched a car into space one time. I was like, really?
It just kept going.
This is what y'all doing?
It kept going, yeah.
And then it landed back on the freeway.
Yep. Ahead of the other car.
Right.
That's what happens.
Right. Fast and Furious. But do you have a favorite movie of all time?
Yeah. Step Brothers. Yeah. White Chicks.
Step Brothers.
All the funny movies.
These are good ones.
Yeah. I like comedies.
Okay.
Like I like stupid comedy.
So you like the ones like Seth Rogen and
yes,
you know, all them.
like something that doesn't make you think. Because if I don't have to think, I'm not going to. I'm not going to. So something that's funny, like stupid funny.
I got
you could just laugh and laugh and laugh.
Step Brothers is
Oh
funny.
my God, it is so funny.
It is funny. White Chicks is funny too.
White Chicks is
Very
so
funny,
I watched
yeah.
like about a month ago for the first time in years.
For
and
the,
I was like, oh my gosh.
you're
this
going to
is
say
so
for the
fun.
first time ever.
No,
I was like,
no. For the first time in a while. And I was like, this is so funny. I forgot how funny
it is so funny. It's so stupid. Even like you continue to watch it and it just gets more stupid.
Right.
But it's really, really funny.
Right. I like both. Both are funny. Benita, do you have a favorite movie?
I don't know if I have a favorite movie. I like a lot of comedy too. Like stupid comedies. I like romantic comedies, but I like action. But I don't like horror movies.
I like scary movies.
Yeah, I don't like scary movies.
I like them.
You do? I don't.
Not like Exorcist ones where I think like that could probably be real. It has to be like if it's like a
You like Scream and that kind of stuff, right?
But yeah, or like
Scream is more kind of almost a little funny too.
Funny, yeah. But if I think something could be possibly real,
and that
that's
definitely
gonna scare me too much.
I definitely don't mess with the ones with kids in it.
Oh yeah, no, and like paranormal stuff. That's like I'm like
ones with kids in. What do you mean? Kids as
you know
as
how
part
they
of
throw
the,
like a little kid in a scary movie, and
the kid is kind of the scary
well,
person.
There was one Annabelle or
I think
something.
that's one, but
she
I
was
never
like a
watched it.
freaking killer. Yeah,
I don't know.
Or something that just have a kid. You know, if they just have a kid in it and it's scary. I'm just don't do scary movies though.
Okay.
Because I'm already a little paranoid looking at my shoulder anyway. So I don't need anything else added to my imagination.
She gets in her car and is like,
I got you. That makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. Do I have a favorite? I'm sure I have. Well, my favorite movie probably is The Godfather, the first one. But it's and then behind that is probably Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which is a Western that y'all might not, y'all are kids, y'all wouldn't know those. Those are my two favorite.
I don't know it either. I'm just like, yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, it's Clint Eastwood.
Okay,
oh my God,
I know Clint Eastwood.
So you check both of those out when you get a chance. You have to dedicate some time to because they are both very long movies. So you can't start it at 10 o'clock at night. You got to watch it at a time where you can stay awake. But very good. Well, Rachel, you are, and so let me set it up for everybody because they don't realize, or they won't realize right off the bat when we first talk, as we do your origin story or your backstory. Your current day probably will seem like a long stretch from
Very
what
different
will
person.
Yeah.
Two different people.
But right now, Rachel in an office of 1,000 agents. You know, we have
now
1,000 agents at Monument Realty.
Yeah, insane.
Yeah, but Rachel is in the top 50 of our 1,000 agents, and she only started her real estate career 2 years ago.
Yeah, I'm renewing my license right now, taking the classes for the first time.
2 years ago.
boring.
And in fact, in her very first year, she got her license in May, had her first $1 million month in June. June follows May. That's the very next month. And ended up closing from May to the end of the year. She closed $9 million in production in her first half a year.
Yeah.
Which is insane, right?
Yeah. I really don't know how it happens. So I'm like, I don't know.
Well, we talked about that. We'll start there, and then we're going to go back. Because you told me, and you told some others this too, and I thought this was very profound, that you were in a position, a single mom, responsible for yourself and your child, that you got this license and the opportunity that it offered you in the sense of being able to take care of you and your family, you had no choice but to be successful. That was your phrase. And I was like, okay, I like that. But can you expound on that?
So when I got my license in May of 2021, I had been separated from my son's dad for a while, or had left my son's dad. And he was the moneymaker. He made the money. I left with my son, moved in with my parents, and I didn't have I was making hourly pay at Monument for a while before I got my license, but I knew that real estate was one of my only options, given the background that I have. And I didn't go to college. I didn't graduate college. I don't have a master's, none of that. But I just saw the opportunity that real estate offered. And when I got the green light from Trek to go ahead and move forward with it, I had no other choice. This is what I'm going to do. I have to make it work. I don't have a lot of other options. I've seen what real estate can do for other people, and I wanted to be one of those people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And so, for those who don't know, if you're listening, real estate is one of those careers that it offers a lot of opportunity, but it doesn't offer a lot of opportunity for everybody who gets in. So what happens is you have about 20% of the people who do about 80% of the business. So there are a lot of real estate agents out there who are licensed, but it's not really a very productive endeavor for them. In fact, a lot of them wash out of the business within 2 years, certainly 5 years. And so it takes a very special person, special mindset, special sort of set of circumstances for someone to be really successful. And you are successful on a whole nother level. And I really do believe it's because you truly felt like this was it. This was my only shot.
Yeah. Nothing else could make it work. And nothing else could give me the freedom. I mean, I say freedom. I don't. There's not a lot of freedom with real estate, but there's if you make it successful for yourself, there's financial freedom. So freedom in a sense, not time freedom. I can do whatever I want because I can for sure can't. But freedom from having to depend on other people to take care of me. Freedom. I bought my own house last year for my son and I, pay my bills on my own. No help, just by myself. No help, nothing. So there is a sense of freedom with it.
Can I ask, because I know you from when we were at Keller Williams. How, was that your first time in a real estate type of atmosphere? How did you even get into real estate?
So I had decided so I have kind of a colorful background. So I had decided my dad had actually a long time ago done some real estate. He liked to, on the side, remodel houses, buy and sell houses, stuff like that. So I was like, oh, okay, I can do that. It'll be easy. He does it. I tried to get my license, couldn't get it. But I was like, okay, I'm going to take my dad's advice and put myself somewhere near real estate and see if I even like it.
Great advice.
Because I had never listened to him before, but I was like, okay, let me see if I even like what they're talking about. Because I really, you think you know real estate, but
until you're in it.
Yeah, until you're in it. And even just working in an office, I still had no idea.
Right.
I was director of first impressions, answering the phone. Every now and then people would call in to see a house. I'm like, oh yeah, you can see a house. Let me connect you with an agent. They're like, are they pre-approved? What did you talk to them? I'm like, who cares? Go show them the house. It'll be so fun. Yeah, I still didn't know.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's the first time at Keller Williams. That's the first time I had been in a real estate atmosphere. Yeah.
And so that's where both Benita and I first met you at Keller Williams. You were the director of first impressions. For those who don't know, that means she was the receptionist.
Yes. With a fancy name.
Very, very fancy name. Right.
Had a card and everything.
Director of first impressions. And there's nothing wrong with being, I'm not saying that as there.
She was a good one too.
She was excellent. She might have been the very best director of first impressions.
She was.
Yeah.
Except her transparency, her being so authentic apparently made her averse to playing radio edits during office meetings. So she would be responsible for getting the music on to kind of get everybody hyped and all that stuff. But
you gotta get hyped.
But you can't play.
We were all adults.
Okay, so see, and she still doesn't quite understand why we couldn't do that. So, so as and I was in the position, I think I was assistant team lead at Park City's office. And I remember
I even toned it down with the music that I played.
You did, but we still had all the whatever curse word was in it was in it, and everybody got to hear it. And I was like, it's also we also have old people here too.
Yeah, it was kind of older people.
And I was like, this will be reported. It's gonna be reported as though it was me doing that. Nobody will say, "Oh, Director First Impressions was playing all the trap music at the office meeting today." Right? They was gonna come back up here. I was like, "Dang, Rachel, you gotta change that." So, but anyway, but the cool thing about it, I was like, "But you know what? She didn't even see anything. There was nothing wrong with it to you because that's just you." Yeah. So, if that's what the song says, that's what the song says, right? And they can deal with it. Everybody's an adult here.
Yeah. And they've heard those words before.
Right, they've heard those words before.
I mean, even no matter how old they are, they probably heard them all.
Right. And they probably use them too, right?
Yeah. And they don't have to listen to it when they leave.
Right, when they leave.
Or even when they're there, they don't have to listen.
Right. Yeah. So, and I was like, okay, so she's a little different, right? But everybody at that office absolutely loved Rachel because she was exactly who she was and who she didn't say she was one thing and it was obviously something else. And so that was really cool. And so, and you were such a hard worker and you took care of everybody and you made sure everybody was good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I loved that office.
Yeah.
And the agents.
It was,
I loved the people there.
That was a collection of some really, that was the most, it was very diverse.
Yes.
It was very, everybody had unique personalities and it was a really fun group of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you hate to, because I'll look back at pictures and see that old office and you can like, dang, wow, that was a really cool group.
It was fun.
We need to organize a reunion of some sort.
I know. It was fun.
Yeah.
Like everybody, everybody there was so nice.
Right.
Like, no, nice to me.
I was gonna say.
They were nice all the time, but but everybody there was like so different, but it was so fun.
Right.
Yeah, it was very fun.
It was very fun. Yeah, those are good old days. But anyway, so we knew you from there, but I had no idea back then that you were interested in being a real estate agent.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until you were at Monument before you. Before Bonita too, right? And okay,
Rachel up.
Make sure right there. Yeah. So, you talked to Rachel before you made the move to Monument, and
I had to get Rachel to give me the real. I was like, all right, Rachel, give me the real.
I know. I was like, Bonita, why are you calling me?
Yeah, and she's like, yeah, it's the real deal. I was like, all right,
okay,
because I wasn't even an agent then. I was inbound sales. Yeah. Bonita called. I think it was you and Surrey called.
Who? Seeing her?
Surrey.
Okay, I don't remember. Surrey. I do remember Surrey.
From
Yeah.
KW.
Wait, I haven't seen him in a minute.
I haven't seen him on social media in a long time.
He doesn't really get on social media though.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, was that just, y'all were doing a lot together.
Yeah. Y'all were kind of like a team or something. But anyway, so you were saying, what were you saying, Rachel? We got thrown out there.
Oh, yeah. So I was at Monument before you.
Yeah. And so, so I will admit this too. So even though I was talking to, some higher ups about making that move, I did not make the move until I called who?
Me?
Yep.
I know, because I'm not going to lie.
Right.
Like, not, I think that's why, I have nothing bad to say about other brokerages, but I did put off, there were other reasons I put off getting my license. Trek wasn't allowing me to get my license for a while because of my background, but also at KW, I got sidetracked. I was like, oh, maybe I don't even need my license. Like, I'm going to be a team leader. Because Dina, I love Dina, and she was in front of everybody. She was so great. And she's a great person, but I didn't know the politics behind the scenes.
With the team leader.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, okay, I'm right. Like, that is not fun. Like, that's not for me. And also, there are some things, I think you find a place that aligns with you and fits with you. And when I went to Monument, before I got my license, and I was inbound sales, and there was 60 agents, Eddie and Tiffany did every single thing they said they were going to do. Every little thing. No matter what it was. And so I was like, okay, this is real. I thought it was going to stay a small office. I didn't
Right.
know. I didn't know.
Right.
But yeah, it was still like, I was like, okay, this place is for real. Like,
Yeah.
and at first even answering the phone and taking Zillow calls and stuff, because coming from the place I came from before, it was like, that doesn't really, like, those don't work. Like, that doesn't, those are like bullshit. Those don't work. Don't waste your time on that. And then I saw the success of the agents after I gave them the lead. I was like, oh my God, this does work. Like, this is real.
Right.
Like,
well, and so what you were seeing too, and you got good training because you were as an inbound salesperson.
Yeah.
You were receiving a lot of those calls and actually talking to people and then directing them to an agent. And I think what you learned early on is, let me not go in with a biased assumption about this lead. Let me treat this lead like it's a person I'm meeting, right? It's a person I'm meeting, and I have an opportunity, if we click, if we connect, to do a real estate transaction with them and be in relationship with that person, because ultimately what you want to do is create a relationship with a person that you obviously help them buy or sell a house. Yeah. But that relationship is good enough or sound enough that they will bring you other buyers and sellers. Yeah. And a lot of people don't make that connection. No, everything is about one transaction. Yeah.
No. Well, I even, as inbound sales, like, you're supposed to answer a bunch of calls. Like, sometimes I would stay on the phone with them too long because I'm like talking to them like, oh, I wish I had my license already. Like, I like this person. Like, this is my friend. Like, what do they want? Like, it's like, and then I would try to fit them with an agent in the office that fit their personality, because I don't want them to not like the agent and then give them a bad rap, and then me, and then Monument, and then it trickles down. But yeah, no, I would talk to them, see what they want. It's like matchmaking. Kind of, it was like matchmaking.
And that's when you were like, oh, I really want to do this.
Okay, this is fun.
Right. So you had, and this is where we're going to jump to the start of this, because before you got your license in May of 2021, you had applied to Trek. This was on your fifth time that they told you yes.
Third time.
Third time. Yeah. Okay.
Third time.
Third time they said yes, you can.
Third time they said yes.
Okay. Yeah. So in two previous times
they said no.
They said no. Yeah. And so let's explore the reason for no. Okay. Because here's the thing. If you meet Rachel today, there's no way on earth one would believe the journey you took to get to where you are now. And so we'll start here. You've been sober for
like almost 7.5 years.
Almost 7.5 years, which is commendable. We want to commend you for that. Yeah, that was a wonderful, wonderful thing. And I would imagine that too has made you a better real estate agent, somebody having to go through that and overcome yet something else, because I'm sure that is also a daily situation.
It's gotten easier, but there are days where it's like, oh my God,
right. So
life sucks. Right. Like, life is not fun.
Right. But you still have to make a decision to move forward in a way that's productive for you and your son. So, but you grew up in Richardson. You know, mom, two parent home, mom and dad.
Yes.
You have brothers and sisters?
Yes, I have an older sister and a younger brother, so I was a middle child. Okay. We're all like 3.5 years apart.
Okay, very good, very good.
Close family.
Yes, close family. Raised probably middle upper class. I live in the same neighborhood that I grew up in. Nice. My son goes to the same elementary school that I went to.
Okay.
So,
are the teachers still there from back in your day?
The librarian.
Okay, the librarian.
Yeah, and I honestly, so my mom was my 6th grade teacher.
Oh, really?
Yes. One of them. I mean, that you
can move.
Yeah.
You have more class.
I mean, I don't remember Miss Harker, but every time I go with my son to like the book fair, she's like, oh yeah, I remember. And I'm like, and she looks good. I'm like, I thought she was going to be like 80. No, she looks good. I'm like, dang, she started early. Like when she was 21.
Like straight out of college.
Yeah. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. So there's one person still there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. And what school was that? What elementary?
Bowie Elementary.
Okay. Very good. Very good. And so, just kind of a normal
Yeah, normal.
childhood?
I mean, normal upbringing. Played sports growing up. Did family vacations? All just kind of the normal, what you would call normal.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, not a lot of traumatic experiences. Like kind of just.
And you weren't a particularly rebellious child.
Not in elementary school.
Okay.
When I went to junior high, which back then was 7th through 9th grade, that's when I kind of started to rebel a little bit. So when we first,
so you know that's when you start to rebel a little bit.
Yeah.
Is there something about junior high in general, or that particular setting that made you?
I mean, I think I don't know if it was the particular setting. I think, like looking back, junior high. Well, now it's like earlier for kids, but like junior high, you're 13, 14, going in 7th grade with kids from other schools. Like it's such a transitional time, and also you're exposed to other. It's more diverse. You're exposed to other things. That in elementary school, it's smaller. It feels a little, safer.
Yeah.
You don't what to expect. Junior high, there was so many different people, and even in 7th grade, I mean, I didn't rebel a lot, and probably until like the 2nd semester, kind of you get your crowd, your little friend group, and then you kind of see like, oh, what are you gonna do? And that's when you start sneaking out, like.
Oh, you were sneaking out in 7th grade?
Yeah.
Woo!
Yes.
Got me beat.
Yeah. Well, yes.
You were sneaking out of the house by the 2nd semester of 7th grade.
Yes.
And
Just going to parties and stuff?
Yeah. I mean, my friends and I, we dated older guys, so they got to stay out later.
Older, as in like high school?
Like maybe 2 years older.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
like still,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
probably like 19, but they got to stay out later.
Yeah, yeah.
Some of them had licenses, like they could drive, and our parents wouldn't let us drive in the car with them, so we like had to lie about where we're going and sneak out and
yeah.
Okay.
the normal.
That's kind of normal.
Yeah.
What'd you
I
say,
mean, it
Benita?
might have
That's normal.
started.
You
It
doing
might
that
have
too?
started a little early. So I think I started running with the fast crowd.
Yeah.
But they were like, I mean, I
was-
still have my best friend. She lives across the street from me today.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like, she
was-
was one of the first ones, and that's just what we did.
Yeah, it was kind of normal.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was very obvious to all the other kids, most of the other kids that like we went to elementary school with, and like that didn't do that. Like, oh, that's kind of like, we weren't like the bad crowd, but it was like, oh, they're the kind of the fast crowd.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
they don't make the
Little
greatest
edgy.
choices.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so this is junior high.
Yes.
So then we progress. That's 7th grade that we're sneaking out. So what's the progression of this? We're sneaking out. So
How old is your youngest?
listen, I'm so glad. As
I
I'm
was
listening
gonna say,
to
he's like,
he doesn't have
he's
yeah,
old,
no,
right?
listen,
I mean,
and listen to you.
Because it's
and-
the girls. We're the ones
yeah, I
that
know.
sneak
I
in.
thank God
We're
I
the
have a
ones-
son,
yeah.
because I'm like, I don't know what I would do with a girl.
Yeah,
I
right.
like.
3 boys. In fact, that's what my wife wanted. My wife wanted
'Cause she
3
knew too.
boys.
Oh yeah, because she's a girl. I mean, she knew it. I mean,
exactly, yeah.
You
There's
think
some
that's-
I don't know what I
there's
would do
probably
with a
some things
girl.
you don't know about your wife that she did.
That she's like,
We're
I cannot
sneaky.
deal with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
All right, you hear that, Angela? Yeah, and that's
Yeah,
Benita.
that was Benita.
the one
I
said,
didn't say that. She was
that's-
an angel.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get an angel from
I know.
Benita claims some stuff I probably don't know, and but Rachel did say you were an angel.
Yes,
She's
I
sure
did.
of that.
I said that.
But no, I'm so glad we had 3 boys, because I
Yeah.
don't know what I mean. It's too. Just girls seems like it's such
a lot.
hard.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
5.
It's 5.
You have 4 sisters?
Oh, my
Oh,
son
God.
has 4 sisters. Oh,
Your poor mom and
I know,
dad.
I know.
Man,
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh
your
yeah.
dad is the one who.
Yeah.
Oh, gee whiz. But yeah, I can't
That's a
even
lot,
imagine.
yeah.
It's a lot of kids.
It's a lot of kids in
period.
general.
But
yeah.
And then to have-
girls, those girls.
I know. No.
Man, but anyway, so you were hanging with this fast crowd,
Mm-hmm.
and that crowd got a little faster, right? So where did we where did we go from
so-
sneaking out to what?
Yeah. So then it continued, like the group of friends that I had, it trickled down to like just like 2 or 3 of us, because we moved to an even faster crowd. And some of them were like,
They're like,
"Oh,
"No,
you
y'all
gotta slow
going
down."
too
They're like,
fast,
yeah,
going
that's a
too
little too
fast.
much.
Like,
I
let
can't
me,
do all that.
yeah.
Wait a minute.
I'll stay over
Yeah,
here.
let me stop. So it was a different group of people that I had grown up with and ever been exposed to. And so for me, that was fun. They were doing drugs, skipping school. They were in gangs. Like, it was, I mean, gangs, like, they're in, like, junior high. So,
Junior high gang. They weren't quite.
So I say gang very lightly.
They were junior gang. Junior gang
Yeah.
Bloods and Crips and nothing like that.
It was not like that.
Walking up, I was like, what sex you claim?
Yeah, it was just very different. And it was, I think, for me, it was just very exciting. It wasn't the normal, like, everyday life that I had lived. And it was a lot of fun. Scary at times, but it was a lot of fun. And also, it was when you go into junior high, especially, I think girls feel it more than guys. I know guys feel it too, but you feel very judged, like, by the way you look. Because in 7th grade back then, girls were like, this one's like, you get boobs, and like, you start wearing makeup and all this stuff. And so it's different. And so and with that crowd, I didn't feel judged, like, I didn't come from where they came from, but I didn't feel judged. Like, I didn't have to try to be somebody I wasn't. Not that I knew who I was in junior high.
I was going to say, were you feeling inadequate already?
I guess. I think I was just trying to figure it out. And it's like, I was, I played sports in, like, the first year of junior high, but, and ran track and did all that. But it was like, I think I just went so fast to the left, like, with the fast crowd, and it was so fun. It was so different, and it was out of the norm, and it was so fun.
If you don't, it was so fun.
It was so fun. It didn't stay fun for the kids. It didn't stay fun, but like, it was just it was different, and it was like, and it was exciting, and like, the guys really liked us from that, neighborhood, and like, it was different. Yeah.
The guys really liked you from that from not.
I mean,
are you talking about from your neighborhood?
No,
or
from the other neighborhood.
Okay, so the neighborhood there you hanging out.
Yeah,
so you were,
the bad boys.
The bad boys. Yes, there was a certain appeal. But yeah, so and then once I got to high school, I went to Richardson High School, and by then, I wasn't like doing anything extracurricular activities, and my parents hated the people I hung out with. So they were like, you have to do something. Like, so I did the drill team. It came out of left field. I don't know what I was thinking, but I was like, okay. And it was fun. I made a team. Like, it was fun. But then I was getting in a lot of trouble and skipping school, and I got a tattoo and all kinds of stuff. And my parents sent me away to a boarding school in high school.
So what was the tipping point? The tattoo?
I think it was the tattoo. Because it wasn't that long after, and I really thought I was good at covering it up. It was a lower back tattoo.
Of course,
I got a tramp stamp. It was a tramp stamp, and yes.
You got the tramp stamp. Yes. At what age again? When was this?
I was 16, 17, almost 17. Yeah.
Okay.
And
who discovered it? Your mom's side? Or?
So somebody at school told my mom, because she was a teacher in the school district. And at home, I thought I did a really good job of hiding it, but I also didn't realize that, like, it was hot outside, and I was wearing around the house like sweatpants and sweatshirts. And but then at school, I was like, not. So somebody saw it and emailed my mom, and so one day I was just walking by the kitchen table, and she just pulled my shirt up. She was like, oh my God, like, your tattoo, it's so big. Like, what the hell? Like, how did you get that? I'm like, oh my God, I don't know. Like, isn't it pretty? It's flowers. It's pink. Like, isn't it cute? And she was like, yeah, but you're in so much trouble. Like, so much trouble. So a couple months later, I got sent away to a boarding school.
Sent away, like, where? Like, it was
in Georgia, in Dahlonega, Georgia. Yeah, like all the way. Like, they had me
got sent away.
Okay. They had me escorted. So it was.
When you say escorted, what
escorted, like, by a police officer and some man. Yeah. So in my room.
They're about to shut this down.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they were like, enough of this.
They didn't even pack my own clothes. They went and bought me clothes and packed a suitcase because they knew, like, they
didn't know what you were gonna be packing in the first place.
Like, she's gonna run away. Like, so I think it was a Friday because I remember it was like a pep rally day. And so I had to wake up early anyways to be at school. But my dad came in extra early and like woke me up, and I was like, I don't even have to wake up yet. Like, why are you here? And he's like, no, get up. You're going away to school. And I was like, no. I'm like, no, I'm not. And there was these 2 random people in my room. And they're like, yeah, come on, you need to get up and go to the bathroom. We have a flight to catch. Like,
Oh, wow.
yeah. I was like, what? I reached for my, like, at the time, I don't know if I reached for my, so I think I had a cell phone. It was like a Nokia phone. A Nokia phone. Or it was the house phone because I had one in my room. It was one or the other. And I was going to call my friend. And, like, they took the phone from me. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, I just need to call my friend and say bye. They're like, no, like, let's go.
Oh.
And I was like, I got to pack. I was trying to buy all kinds of time. And my parents were like, no, we bought you some clothes. Here's your suitcase. Like, and I was like, are y'all serious right now? Like, they didn't even tell me where I was going. So
you know, you had no clue that this
I
was
could
a
have been
possibility.
being kidnapped and taken to a different country.
They
Like,
had-
no,
they had-
I didn't even know there was such thing as a boarding school that you get sent away to. Like, I didn't know that. I didn't know that existed.
It took some time to prepare.
Yeah, they
research
talked to
the schools and
somebody.
everything.
Yeah, they talked to somebody and all that. Yeah. So we go to the airport. My parents didn't even ride to the airport with me.
Oh, wow.
No, like I was with one of them was
And that probably, that had to hurt them,
Oh.
too.
Oh, yeah.
my
that
dad
was-
actually, I haven't seen him really ever cry, but he teared up when he
Yeah.
was telling me I was going away. I was
Yeah.
like, that's like when I heard his voice and saw those people, I was like, shit, they're serious.
real.
And I was like, it's not even that serious. Like what I'm doing, I'm not like, I'll graduate from high school. Like,
Yeah.
I'll do it, but they were so worried about me that graduating and the crowd I was running with that like, you're not doing it here.
Wow. Okay, so then
Good
you go.
parents.
So the transport? So they stay back. Your parents don't
Yeah.
go, but you're with these 2 people, and do they take the flight with you? They go all the way.
The woman took the flight with me. Oh, I hated her. She was very nice actually, but like
But at the
I
time-
tried even in the airport. I was
Try to
like,
get away.
oh my god, I was like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom and like give a signal to the girl washing her hands next to me that I'm
Is
being
it
kidnapped.
kidnapped?
Yeah, like oh my god, help! Like, but I didn't have the balls to do it. Like I was like,
Like, what were you gonna
okay,
do?
I know. Then where was I
Right.
gonna go? So I was
And
like,
I'm sure they had documentation and stuff to
and
properly say.
Yeah, and so I was like, oh my god, like what do I do? So I just, I took it. Like I just went, and I was like, okay, it's not gonna be that bad. Like I'm gonna be there for like a month. Like
Okay,
just
so-
come
because this
home.
was your junior year.
Yeah, so it was the last semester of my junior year.
Okay,
so
it's
like
almost-
January.
almost- okay, so it's
Yeah.
last semester, so you're like, okay.
Yeah, so I was like, there's no way they don't want me to graduate from from Richardson. Like this is just like scare tactic. So I get there, it's in the middle of the mountains.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice scenery. In the middle of Dahlonega, Georgia, in the Appalachian Mountains, and they drive me up. And then when I go, like, they start talking to me a little bit, like, okay, it's okay. I'm gonna sound super dumb. I didn't even know where Georgia was. And,
Somebody pay attention to
relativity.
geography.
I didn't.
Fast
do
crowd.
good.
You didn't-
Fast crowd. We didn't go to school.
looking at no
Geography.
maps and stuff.
I didn't even know, but I was like, when I got there, I was like, I need to see a map because I'm like fixing to map
Where
my
am
way
I?
out of here. Like, how close to Texas am I? Like, once we drove from the airport in
Right.
Atlanta there in the mountains, and I was like, what? Like, how am I going to get out of here? And like, I need to know. I was like 3 states away. Like, I didn't know what I was going to like.
Well, you're a few more than 3.
Yeah. that's-
But
Well, I mean, I
that's
think you
okay.
could go through like,
it depends how you go.
Yeah.
Louisiana.
because I think you could
go
do
to
like
Tennessee.
Florida, Alabama, Louisiana.
Still
Well,
like-
yeah,
it's
you-
still like 4
I
hours.
know the
You're right.
route.
You're
now.
right.
No,
You're,
I'm
yeah.
just kidding.
You're
I
right.
know where
Yeah,
it
because
is.
you did
No.
map it out.
Yeah.
You were
I
trying to
did.
get
I
out.
was like, do I go this way? Do I go this way? Yeah. But so then the lady was like, I asked like, okay, well, how long am I going to be here? And she was like, it's an 18 to 24 month program. And I was like, what the like, I'm going to be at 25 before I get out of here. Like, this is crazy.
25.
No, like, I was going to be 18, 19. Like, either I'm going to stay here past high school. Like, this is crazy. And yeah, no, I didn't get to talk to my parents for like the first, I think, week. You don't talk to anybody for a week, like no family, and then you get like supervised like phone calls. And then
It's
after
like jail.
yeah. I mean, yes, it was kind of, not necessarily,
Super
but I
nice
mean, it was
phone
prettier.
calls.
It was prettier. Yeah, no, they listened to you. That way you couldn't like tell them like, oh, they're like beating me and like, help me.
Okay.
Yeah. And then after that, then it moved to like, you know, you get one phone call a week, not supervised. And then I didn't get to see my parents for I think it was a full month. But then when they came, it was just like an on-campus visit around everybody else. Like,
was this all girls?
no, it was girls and guys.
Okay.
So it was actually like, it sucked, but I made really good friends
I was
there.
about to say, did you? Okay.
Yeah, it was like the group of people there, like we were all going through the same thing.
Right,
like we all got
right.
ripped away from our friends and our
Y'all
life.
connected.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it was kind of fun. We made it like our own little family. Yeah.
So at this point, though, are you? Because I know you've been using drugs recreationally, but are
Yes.
you?
Okay. Yeah.
What?
So drugs were involved in like the fast crowd. So like smoking weed, doing a little bit of cocaine. I didn't really drink. I mean, there was like other drugs, like something called Tolly, like you huff like something to get high. Like, I don't know. Like,
I didn't do it. I think I remember.
No. So there was like drugs, like
something
here, there was like, we were doing drugs, but I wasn't addicted to drugs. It wasn't until actually it was before I got sent away. I had tried heroin.
So
What?
how do we graduate that quickly to you're not addicted?
Yeah.
You're trying stuff
was like
recreational,
the party,
and then
yeah.
you decide. Because I think I've never even smoked marijuana, by the way. So don't judge.
mean,
Now
that's good.
in this era, you gotta make sure people don't judge me as almost like you gotta
God.
apologize.
Yeah.
I ain't even
Yeah.
smoking.
Yeah.
I ain't
Not
even-
doing
just
before, yeah.
apologize for not
I'm
doing
sorry,
drugs.
I don't
know-
do drugs.
I'm sorry, I didn't do anything. But I would think though, heroin sounds like it is it sounds like it's a death sentence. It's almost like people don't come back from that.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't. I think it just transgress. So first I did, smoked weed and then did cocaine and like other drugs. But my boyfriend at the time when I did it, he had told us that it was cocaine. And so when I did it, I mean, I knew it. I saw the color of it. So we were snorting it. I knew it was not cocaine because it wasn't white. But I was like, oh, YOLO, like whatever. And that feeling that you get, I mean, I think it's with any addict, with whatever their drug of choice may be, that first feeling that you get is like one of the best feelings.
You keep chasing that high.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of the best feelings you ever feel. So, but I still wasn't like I still didn't do it all the time.
So when you went to Georgia, you were not
No, I wasn't
withdrawing because you weren't.
No, that I wasn't at that point yet. And then I finished, so I went to boarding school. Then I turned 18 at boarding school, and since I was 18, I'm an adult. I was like, I'm going to leave this school if y'all don't take me home to my parents. Like, I was like, I'm going to leave. So my parents let me come home the last semester of my senior year. And I didn't get to go back to my public school because it was too late in the semester. Like, it was at the end of January.
Okay.
And so there was too much time to make up. So I went to a private alternative school, which didn't help with the crowd either. I mean,
Right.
it's not like that's what I mean.
Yeah.
They were like, "Hey, welcome home."
I know, like, and there was even a girl that had went to my boarding school there, and I was like, "Oh, look, we're back." But yeah, but I went back right with the same crowd. I mean, I was 18; I had been gone. So when I came back, it was like those people, my friends, were still in the same place. So, and that's when it got really bad. So that's when I started doing heroin a lot. I graduated high school. I got into UNT. And I went because, I mean, growing up, it was like, this is what you do. You go to elementary school, junior high, high school, then you go to college, and then you get married, and then, you know, and then you have kids, and this is the order. So I went because I didn't really know any other option. But I went to UNT because it was the closest school to my friends. So I could still go. and I got to take my car.
And that was really the reason you picked UNT, so you could still be close to your crowd.
Yeah, I got into U of H, into University of Houston. But I was like, I'm not going all the way to Houston, which I have family in Houston, but my dad went there. But like,
you would have found your crowd.
Oh yeah, I would have found. I mean, yeah, it wouldn't have mattered where I went. But I was
anywhere,
like, no, I was like, okay, so I'm gonna go to UNT. But I'm only gonna go to college if I get to take my car, which I'm sounding very entitled right now, but I acted like that. I acted like that. So, I mean, just for me to shut up and go to college, and my parents were like, okay, take your car, which was probably the worst mistake ever because I was driving from Denton to Pleasant Grove, like
not Pleasant Grove
all the time. Yes. so that's where I started hanging out, because that's where all the people, like, that's where we got our drugs from, and then like that's where, I mean, just where we were.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I started driving there like all
from you. I'm just
you drive
realizing
from
what you
Denton,
said from UNT.
From Denton
yes,
to the
I
Grove,
mean,
every day.
Yeah, I might as well have driven from Houston because it was not that close. Like it was not that close. But yeah, I mean, I went for a semester.
Tried it.
I tried it. It wasn't for me. I mean, it was a far that trip took a toll on me. So no, I didn't do very good in school. I mean, I really didn't go to college to go to college. Like it was just
because you had.
That's
to.
what I had to do. So I moved back home after the first semester and had to get a job. So I started working at I was a bank teller at Washington Mutual. My parents, they they kind of figured something was going on. And they kind of knew, like, I mean, they knew a little bit before I went to college, but I kind of played it off. And that was back when the heroin epidemic, like in Plano, and all the overdoses, like all of that was going on. Yeah. So my mom, she actually said she found out because she read some article about, like, when you're on heroin or opiates, like your pupils don't dilate and all this. So she would always be like
paying attention.
She'd be like staring at me. I'm like, what are you looking at? And she'd be like, you're high. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And it was because my pupils were dilating. So yeah, so I did that. I worked at Washington Mutual as a bank teller. I was still doing drugs, but I was very good. I was like a functioning addict, so I was very good at hiding it. Like I still kept up the appearance of I'm doing well, like had a car, had a job, like it wasn't affecting that. And it stayed like that for, well, I like to think it was longer, but it was probably like a year or two. And then it started to take a toll. So my parents found out that I was using drugs again, wanted me to go to rehab, and I would go to rehab so that I wouldn't get kicked out of the house and, you know, I could get my car back. So I went to rehab like 5 or 6 times within a couple years, just to go back and forth. Like,
so in your mind, rehab was really just to placate your family, get your car back, and be able to do stuff. But you weren't going with the intent of trying to not do drugs.
No, I didn't want to. I mean, there were things like going through opiate withdrawals is horrible. Like it is like the flu times 10. Like your bones hurt, you're sweating, like it's horrible. So there were times where I was like, when I was withdrawing, that I was like, oh my God, I never want to do this again. Like this sucks. But I hadn't lost enough. Like I hadn't
hit that rock bottom.
Yeah, I hadn't hit that rock bottom. And my parents, well, my dad did not agree with her enabling. Yeah. He was more of like tough love, like cut her off, don't even talk to her. Like she's being dumb, you know? And, but she was still there for me. So I hadn't lost anything. Yeah. Like I hadn't lost anything at all. So at one point, like the last time I went to rehab, like I was like, okay, like this is the choice I'm going to make. Like I'm going to go. I'm like going to be in this life. Like I want to do drugs. Like this is my group of people. Like this is who I am. I left. I lived in Pleasant Grove, like made a life there.
Made a life there.
Yeah, made a life there.
So we're in Pleasant. And so, by the way, y'all, we are.
You don't have people listening from Pleasant Grove.
Yeah. So let me do this real quick. So I am.
They'd be like, "Who is this white girl?"
Yeah, I know. So Pleasant Grove, y'all. And Pleasant Grove it's almost like when people reference Oak Cliff, and they do Oak Cliff the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Oak Cliff is a very big place. Pleasant Grove is a very big place. And so there traditionally, when I say traditionally, I mean historically, there have been some spots and places in Oak Cliff and some spots and places in Pleasant Grove where there are some things that have gone down and go down that are not necessarily representative of Pleasant Grove, right? You know, you got some great areas, Pleasant Grove, Buckner Terrace, all that stuff. And Oak Cliff gets done the same way.
Yeah.
In fact, Oak Cliff gets maligned in a way that we don't have time to go into that.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure all the listeners know we are not dissing Pleasant Grove. We love the Grove. We love Oak Cliff.
No, and they were very nice to me.
Right.
I mean, you would think, honestly, that they wouldn't be. But like, I didn't have that bad of an experience there.
I was saying no.
So
it wasn't like yeah.
So it wasn't like, hey, white chick hanging out in the Grove.
I mean, they probably knew what I was there for, obviously, but like
the white girl hair.
But
we know what she about.
Yeah, and
they were like, we gonna give her this product.
She cool. So
yeah,
it's not like you were there.
Yeah,
starting trouble.
But no, I didn't start any trouble, and I was nice to everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like,
it is what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
So no, I didn't have a bad experience there.
So where in Pleasant Grove were you living?
So it was like Buckner and Lake June, like Prairie Creek. Yeah.
And so we get there, and now we're living there. And so
And how old are you at this time? Like 21 or something?
Mid-20s, probably early 20s. Yeah.
And so what do your parents know? Do they know where you are?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, at times I was even living out of motels, and like they would come pick me up to like, I don't know, hang out with my family for a little bit, and they would like come to a motel like off 75 and pick me up. I think they just kind of got, I think it was at certain points, I think it was they didn't want to completely lose me.
Right.
And so they were willing to like, okay, we'll go get her. Like, but then they would drop me right back off. Like, cause there was really no stopping me. Like, even if they didn't drop me back off, like I was going to go back.
Right.
So
that was their way of still being able to not keep some kind of hand on you without just losing you to the street.
Yeah. And
altogether.
they probably more so to check on me and like lay their eyes on me.
Right.
But yeah, so I was living in Pleasant Grove. I mean,
what were your do you know like what were your siblings, your sister and your younger brother? What kind of what was the reaction and everything during all this time?
I think my little brother, he was I feel bad for him because he probably like got ignored a lot because I was like a lot of problems.
Child,
yes. So but he was mad. I think my sister was more, she's older, but she was also going through law school and stuff at the time. So they kind of just like, I mean, they were mad and sad and scared, but like they just kind of continued to live their life. Like there was no, like I'd already caused so much stress with my family, like going back and forth to rehab, trying to stop, or them trying to get me to stop and like really see, like, look at what you're doing. And I was like, but that's not happening. Like, I'm not going to jail. I'm not like,
it's not that bad.
I still have all my teeth. Yeah. Like I still have like blonde hair. Like I'm like, yeah, like I was like, I'm not, like I'm
over exaggerating.
Yeah, like this isn't gonna happen. Yeah. And I mean, thank God, like that didn't happen. Like I still have, but yeah, I was like, this is not that bad. Like I have not gotten in big trouble. Like it's not that bad. Like y'all can calm down.
It wasn't that bad until it was that bad.
Until it got that bad.
So you were in the Grove. And by the way, you were also dating a drug dealer.
Yes. That we had an apartment. My parents met him. I told him he was a plumber. And yeah, we lived there for probably a year.
Well, you said you
together.
told your dad he was a plumber?
I told my parents he was a plumber.
Okay.
And they believed it, you think?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess they didn't really have a reason not to.
Well, Marcella said they both make good money. So
I know.
I
mean,
yeah.
I mean, but yeah, no, I was just doing, whatever I wanted, doing drugs whenever I wanted. I didn't have,
Yeah, the supply right there.
Yeah.
you have to go pick it up.
Yeah. And then at one point it was probably later on, a little bit later in my 20s. I had finally I was done. Like it does take a beating on you. So like, it was not easy. Like I didn't always date a drug dealer, and I was very like, I'd have to steal to get money, and it was
because you weren't working.
Yeah, I wasn't working at the time. It was hard. Like it was not all fun and games.
Right.
Like it was fun, but it was like it sucked. And like looking at the people around me, I mean, that's not the life I wanted, but that was the life I was living.
Right.
And at that point I was so deep in it, I didn't know a way out. And so
then you get arrested.
yes.
So tell us about that.
So I had ended up at some point moving back home to my parents, convinced them to let me live at home. I was waitressing. I was on my way home from a shift. It was probably like 3 a.m. I'm right down the street from my parents' house at the gas station, buying cigarettes or something stupid. I walk out and there's the gas station surrounded by cops. And I'm like, what? Like, it's just me here. So like, I was like, not even going to go to my car, but I was like, there's no way they're like,
yeah, like, what
I didn't do anything. Yeah. I have my pink work shirt on, like, like I'm fine. Well, they were there for me. And so they ended up searching my car and found a bunch of drugs in it. And so I got arrested.
So they were there for you for what though?
They had got they said they got a report from somebody about me that they needed. I honestly, I'm not really sure because like they got a report from somebody about me and they needed to come check the car. Yeah, it was very like weird. Yeah. So I could have gotten those charges dropped, but then I got in trouble a couple months later. So that didn't really help. But
okay, so you got they find the drugs in the car. You get arrested.
Did you go to jail?
Yes, they arrested me.
And so you have to call home.
I have to call my mom and let her know because she's still like, I'm living there at this point, and she's like gonna know if I'm not home the next morning. So I call and let her know I got arrested, and she was like, for what? And I'm like, drugs. And she's like, what the fuck? Like again? Like, are you serious right now? Like, how long has this been going on? I'm like, oh, it's nothing serious, whatever. So I bawled myself out. And then I go back home, and then end up leaving my house again and going back deep in the, into Pleasant Grove and throwing away my job and everything I had and got arrested again for possession at a park. In Elam. So then I got some more charges. So at that point,
now were you were you just kind of booked and then get out, or are you like staying overnight?
No, I was staying. I had stayed overnight the first time, but I bonded myself out. But this time I didn't have any money. My parents were going to bond me out. So I stayed, and they were like, okay, well, this is what you're going to do. You're going to stay. We're not getting you out. Like, we're not hiring a lawyer.
Yeah.
And I had 9 charges. Had 4 felonies and 5 misdemeanors. All possession. But so I'm there, waiting and waiting and waiting. I mean, it takes a while to go to court.
Yeah.
So when I go to court, they offer me to go to a treatment program or a prison. And so I'm like, okay, well, let me just do this 6-month treatment program. Like, that'll be better. So I do that. I go there for 6 months, and it's not complete lockdown. You can wear your own clothes. There's guys and girls there. I mean, we're separated, but it's not prison. You're not in.
Right.
So I did that for 6 months, got out, you do an aftercare program. And then when I got out, I started hanging out with some of my old friends again, started doing drugs again. Yeah. It takes me a while to learn things. So then I did that and failed a drug test because they give you UAs, and they put me back in jail, and I wasn't getting out again. So this time I'm like, Mom, please, like, hire me a lawyer. Like this, like, screw this. I'm just going to take my prison time. Like, I already have back time. I already have this. Like, I'm just going to go to prison. Like, I don't care. It won't be that bad. Like, this obviously, I'm just going to keep doing drugs. Like, that's the life I want. I know no other life. It's been like 10 years at this point that I've been doing this back and forth. So I was ready. Like, I was ready to go, like, ready to go to prison. Like, I just go. Like, I'm not going to do another 6 months and then do 2 years aftercare. Like, I can't do it.
Right.
So she did hire, I had a lawyer, and it took me like 4 or 5 months to go to court. And when they finally went to court, the offer was go back to the treatment center or go to 10 years of prison.
10.
Yes. I thought it was going to be 2.
Right.
Yeah.
And which I already had like a year back time. So I thought I was just going to go.
Gonna be a year. He was
So
like,
I was
"Sure."
like, I'm just going to go, book in, book out, like turn around. I'll
Gotcha.
get out,
Like, go
parole.
ahead.
Yeah.
Get my street cred up.
Yeah,
with
like,
this,
what? Yeah,
with the
like,
stint,
yeah.
stint in the joint. I'm-
Get some tattoos. Like, I'll be real cool when I come out. Yeah.
Orange is the new black.
Yes. Yes. I was ready. But when they said 10, I was like,
Yeah,
damn.
change time.
Like, they are not playing. Like, I was like, and at that point, I remember hanging up with my mom when she said 10, because I asked her like 3 times. I was like, are you saying 2? She was like, no, 10. I was like, 2? And she was like, TEN. And I was like, fuck, like, okay, you know. And so like I hung up, but I just remember at that time, like in Dallas County Jail, like I accepted the fact that like that, like, okay, that's not going to be me. Like, I am not going to go back to prison. I'm not going to go to prison. I will go back to the treatment center. I don't have to be all like gung ho, like, oh, treatment. But like, I can try to live a sober life. And if it's that bad, like if it sucks that bad, then I know where I can go back to, because they're still there.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
they're not going anywhere. And I know what it is. So like, let me just try this, because I really never have wholeheartedly tried it, and let's just see where it goes. And I did that, and then never went back. So I did the 6 months, did the aftercare program when I got out, graduated that early, got off probation early, got a job at a recreation center near my house. It was one of the only places that would hire me. They didn't do background checks.
The recreation center
Right,
didn't
I was
do
just
background
thought- I was like,
checks?
Yeah. Okay, so it was like, so it's a public, it's a public place, but it was like privately owned. So it was like
Okay.
contracted out.
Okay.
So they didn't, and they actually, I did like a little video interview with them after I stopped working there, because they didn't really know my past,
Right.
or they didn't know, and I don't know, and I didn't tell them because they didn't ask, and they weren't going to do a background check.
Right.
And so I didn't tell them because I needed a job,
Right.
and like, if they're not going to ask, I'm not going to tell
Right,
them.
sure.
And I didn't want, and I wanted the job. So, but I mean, later on I found out I don't know. They said they wouldn't have cared, and they were super nice, so they might not have, but the fact that I was like dealing with kids and stuff, I don't know, maybe they would have. Oh no. But yeah. But I worked there, and that I met a guy, we were both sober. And then I ended up getting pregnant with my son. And this was he was born in May. So this was 2016. And I got pregnant, and then I was managing. I moved up to manager of the recreation center. And then I worked there, and that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to get into real estate. My son's dad was a contractor. My dad had done it. Like, I was like, let me try this. Like, oh my God, I don't have to go to college. Like, I don't have to do any of this. Like, let me try it. And that's when I first applied. I didn't go to real estate school right away. I applied. They have like a moral character form that you have to fill out that asks you about your background and all of that. And so I filled that out first and mailed it off. And that's when they first told me no.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. Yeah. So they told me no. And then they said just to give it a little bit more time. Like, I had references. I had like printed off my whole background. Had letters from my probation officer, the judge, like all kinds of stuff. But they said no. And so then I was like, okay, well, they didn't say like no forever, like no for now. So that's when I applied at Keller Williams. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, I was randomly like looking on Indeed or something. And I was like, oh, Keller Williams, Park City. So that's like fancy. I'm going to go work there. And I was like, and it'll give me an insight of like what agents do and if I really want to do that. And so that's when I started working. And actually I don't know if they did a background check on me at Keller Williams, but I was very upfront and honest with I don't think they did.
I had no comment on that. But
at that point, I was like I was secure in my sobriety. I was secure enough, I think, with myself and kind of where I had come from. And it hadn't been a whole lot of time. It had maybe been a year and a half, 2 years that I had been sober. So, but I was confident enough in myself that I was like, you know what? I'm just going to, when I go interview, like, and they do like, I mean,
you know how
that, days, like, I mean, you're there all day, like
career vision.
Yes. Oh my God. I was like, just to answer the phones, like, do I really want to do all that?
But no, you weren't just answering the phone. You were the director of first impression.
Yes. So I had to make a good first impression for 8 hours. But yeah, no, so I did. And I was honest with them and I still got the job. So I was like, okay. Like, I
think the transparency wins out. And when somebody tells you and they're like, hey, this is my background, this is what's happening, and here's what's happening with me now.
Yeah.
So all of that, and so you get your job there, you do a fantastic job because that's where I get to know you. Yes. That's when you're like, oh, I really like Rachel. She's really cool.
Everybody needs to find them an Al. I just have to say that. Everybody needs to have an Al in their life because you are the most like, you're like the number one hype man. Yeah. And sometimes I hate it because you put me in positions where I'm like, I don't want to talk in front of 300 people. Like, what are you doing? Like, why is this person calling me?
You did that today, though. You did great.
I did. Yeah. I mean, and it was super uncomfortable. And I was even this morning, I was like, how do I get out of this? Like driving. I was like, do I text John and tell him I got in a wreck? Like, I keep talking about like, and then I was like, oh no, then what if I really do get in a wreck? Like, and then that's what I get. But I was like, because I don't do that because I don't see, nobody sees themselves how other people see them. No, and like, that's why I'm like, I texted Al when John first called me. I'm like, why do you do this to me?
That's what
he's like,
does.
I just think you're awesome. And I'm like, oh God. I'm like,
so here's the thing. Anybody who can come through, anybody who can come through the stuff that you've gone through. To me, give me a person who has actually gone through something, had to overcome something, because I can count on that person more than I can count on the person who's never had to go through anything. Yeah. The moment that person gets in any trouble or any difficulty, adverse situation, they will not know how to react and they will not perform. Yeah. Right? There's something about the grit that makes you able to do what you're able to do. There's no way without all of that in the past that you're able to in half a year close $9 million of real estate and then do the same thing the very next year, right? Yeah. It doesn't happen like that. That's what makes you who you are. Yeah. And, and it's amazing. And to fight this thing daily, you have been sober now over 7 years. That's an amazing accomplishment. When somebody's able to do that, you can do just about anything. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. So it doesn't feel like it half the time, but I don't look at it like that, but it is, I don't know. It's crazy to me because especially when people are like, when you give my name to people to talk in front of people, I'm like, I don't know what I do. Like, honestly, like, I know I can tell you what I do, but like, I don't know. God has been great in my life and I know, but I really think, I'm really blessed that real estate was kind of what I chose. It's not easy, like by any means, but I've been like, I like the people. I like people and I like,
And so as challenging as real estate can be as a career, it doesn't even compare to what you've gone through already. No. Right. That was easy. Hard. Yeah. Yeah. This is easy. This is a piece of cake compared to that. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So it's just amazing. We wanted you to share that story because there are a lot of people who are going through stuff and they think, I can't get out of this. I can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah. And they give up. There are a lot of people who are in your position that don't ever make it out of that. And a ton. And so, and even especially when you have the periods where you go backwards, you take a few steps forward and then
I did
a few steps back.
So many times.
Right. And then at some point, most people still they're like, okay, it is not meant for me to have any other life than this.
Yeah, that's what I like at that point. I mean, I didn't live that life in junior high, but at, crucial ages like 18 to 28, like that was the only life I knew. So growing up, and turning into an adult and doing all that, like that's what I knew. And I think, I just created, like people will ask me like, well, how did you do it? How did you stay sober? Like, what did you do? You go to meetings. I don't go to meetings anymore. I'm not part of like the 12-step program or anything anymore, but I just created a life, and I continue to create one every day where drugs don't fit in. Because before I created a life where they fit in all the time.
Gotcha.
Every second of the day, drugs fit in.
That's very profound.
Yeah, but they don't. Yeah, I continue to create it. And now even when I do struggle and I'm like, I'm stressed out. I mean, my son's dad just became involved like again within the last month or two. So it's been stressful. So even sometimes I'm like, oh my God, it would just be like, you know what? I could just not have to worry about any of this and I could go get high. Well, then I don't even know where to get drugs, first of all, or like close by me. So I'd have to drive all the way to Pleasant Grove, and I'm lazy now. So I'm like, I don't want to drive all the way out there. Like what? And then nowadays, like it's 2023. Like what is even in these drugs?
Right.
So, but like, no, but it like, no, like, I mean, I don't even know. So, but yeah, no, it is like, no, I just create a life every day where it really like it doesn't make sense.
Right.
It doesn't fit
I'm
into my
guessing
life.
having your son as well, that kind of
that has helped me. I know kids, nothing can keep you sober but yourself. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't gonna leave my kid with nobody.
Right.
Like I always said, like he can have one fucked up parent, but he's not gonna have two.
Sure.
So it's either gonna be his dad or me. Like
Right.
and it wasn't me.
Right.
so yeah, but yeah, so that has helped. I mean, that has helped me.
Right.
Like it's my why,
But,
Yeah.
Is it like more of a just kind of a daily struggle, or just
it's not daily anymore. I think I'm pretty.
Your past?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty. I mean, I hate to say like I grew out of it because I was old when I grew out of it, but yeah, I think I just passed it. Like it wasn't. I wasted so much time. And like, that's one thing that like makes me like sick to my stomach is when I look back and I'm like, okay, I'm 36. I'm going to be 37 this year. And I just bought my first house last year. Like which is a lot. I mean, no, it's great. It's I'm not putting it down because it's a huge accomplishment and some people still don't, but I'm like, I'm way behind. Yeah. Like never been married, just started my own career 2 years ago, like barely not even a full 2 years ago. Like I wasn't the breadwinner. Like I didn't depend on me to make money. Like the money I made, like it wasn't that much, but I could do whatever I want with it because I didn't have to pay the bills. So, but yeah, now, I mean.
Well, all that time before now prepared you for the season that you're in.
Yeah.
So I always say you got to live where you are, got to be where your feet are planted. And just kind of bloom where, I'm sounding like Dina now. So it sounds like I just gave you three. I'm doing a whole Dina thing. Bloom
but she's the
where
reason
you
I went to Monument. I'm like,
Dina's the reason you went to Monument.
Yes, she's the one who called me.
Yeah. And so it's amazing. So she has that effect on a lot of people.
Yes.
But the deal is, I think you're awesome.
Thank you.
I think so many people do. And I know the reason all of your clients love you, I believe, is because of that transparency. And I think you care for them in a way that, and I see it now, that people cared for you even when you didn't care for yourself. So like your parents.
I like that. I never thought about it like that.
Your parents didn't give up on you.
Yeah.
They stayed there no matter what. All that back and forth. And so and I think subconsciously that's how you do. So even when people come to you who struggling to try to get into this house, you're not going to give up on them.
Yeah.
You're going to find a way to help them make it through. And again, those are things that I believe were built inside of you through this journey that just make you exceptional at what you do. That's why you do it so well. So,
Thank you.
No matter what's going on with anybody out there, y'all, just all of that, all of those lessons that you're taking that you think are losses, they're actually lessons. And if you really apply yourself and think of it the right way and put it in the proper perspective, it will benefit you tremendously down the line.
Yeah, even if you don't see it at this time.
Absolutely.
Like, you never know.
Well, Rachel, we appreciate you hanging out with us. This has been very inspirational. We'll have to have you back in a lighter context, right?
Joke a little bit more. I mean, I say some funny stuff sometimes. I didn't get to say very much funny stuff today, Al.
No, because what we wanted people to do is kind of see that journey. So and then because what most people see right now is just the tremendous success. Yeah. And so, but you're not afraid to share that story, and so I wanted people to hear it. So
thank you. Well, thank you.
That's good. Well, hopefully you all would. We always try to do 3 E's. We want to entertain, educate, and encourage. And I think Rachel is all of that.
Yes.
And so we appreciate you, and y'all. Like, subscribe, do all those things they take you to do. Share. That's what I'm supposed to say. Do all those things.
Like, thumbs up.
And let people know that you are enjoying our podcast. And we'll talk to you on the next one.
Yay, thank you.
Thank you.